How do you go from an idea to something running in full production? Well, it's by working with people. But how do you influence people while you're trying to do something? You don't have the funding, you don't have the money. Well, how do you get it? So it's not a chicken and the egg situation. It is not. So I'm going to show you how influencing and doing an evolving idea to full concept and full production are related and how you can work those two things together. Let's get into it. So let's figure this out. How do you influence by doing or do by influencing? We're going to split this in two different sections. The first one, it's the influencing. All right. And the second one, it's the doing. I'm doing my best to write while speaking, and since I'm a guy, that's quite a challenge. All right. So from the influencing and doing, there's a close connection relation between those two, and we're going to walk through how those two are connected together. When you're doing something and you want to influence somebody else or an organization to do what you're trying to do, right? Well, it all starts with an idea. So you start with an idea, and you know that ultimately, let me get some other pen. All right. You know that ultimately your idea is going to end up like some sort of a, let's call that product or service. So it's going to come to realization. So this is kind of the real life tangible things happening. In parallel, all the relational things are happening as well. You can only influence through relationships, people you know or don't know that you need to know. So the influencing starts from, on the extreme left, more of a social / informal. And what I call that is kind of a circle approach. So you're here, and you know people around you which you work directly with, and they know people around them, so on, so forth. So the social / informal network, right? That's a network. It's what you know without doing anything that actually exists, right? So you want to go from something social informal to something more, let's call that corporate / formal. And that's the pyramid. And that's something that's there as well as a social. It's just always present. So this pyramid of responsibility goes from the top, whether it's president, VPs, directors, and etc. And you might be anywhere, right? Let's just say you're here. Okay, so you're here, and you're obviously the own center of your own network. That's you're here. So there are people that you know directly and indirectly, which are part of your, let's say, layer of responsibility. There are people you might know indirectly. Let's say you play hockey with this guy. Let's call him John. And you're in a book club with Sarah, right? And your kids go to the same school as Deb. All right. Well, maybe in the corporate formal, Deb is here, Sarah, and John. And your direct peers are right here. So you're now starting to figure out, like, okay, there's a relationship between those two, and that's just basically people. And you need to understand that when you're connecting with somebody, whether it's through social informal or corporate informal, those are the same people. It's just two different types of setting, right? So let's... I lost my pen again. Let's use another one. So let's just say that, for example, you have an idea and you start talking about it to your direct peers. And they start talking about it to Sarah. And then ultimately John and Deb hear about it. So ultimately you're going... As you're going to get closer to a more formal approval, your idea will evolve, right? So you want to go from left to right and knowing those two are connected. When you're doing something, like for example, you have an idea for a new product and service, and you have an idea and it becomes kind of a more mature concept, and then ultimately you kind of prototype. You build like or design some sort of product service prototype, and then you run a pilot phase where you try it out, right? And ultimately now it becomes like something which you launch into production, right? So your idea that came into production, which now become part of a new product and service kind of offer, that all happened because while you were doing these things, you were working your informal network and building up the approval through formal corporate network. And obviously if, for example, I mean, most of the time the ideas and concept don't cost much unless you're working with consultants, and you need to hire consultants to kind of get a little more maturity on those things. A prototype might cost a little. Pilot, a lot more. And production, ka-ching. Now it's part of the company. So as you're running from left to right, you know that you're going to look for approval maybe here, there, and ultimately there. Because ultimately this sort of even small-scale financing needs to come from somewhere, and most of the time, anytime you get something financed, it needs to go through due diligence and financial approvals through whatever layer. So if you're looking for $800 million, $1 trillion, yep, you're going to need sign-off from, let's say, Elon Musk, whoever is there. But if you're looking for maybe $1,000 kind of funding just to get a prototype out there, maybe it's something that can be worked within your own department. So that's how you kind of connect those two things. You need to be thoughtful while you're working ideas, concepts, and prototypes as you're evolving, and you want to reach something which is a tangible product and service. You want to influence through both social and formal, knowing that you're going to have to also influence up to the corporate layers of responsibility where people have to formally approve your idea, concept, prototype, pilot, and launching into production your new product and service. Cool. So that's it, guys. Look out for the next video, and hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. Bye, guys.